NBA sorted out Western Conference edition. Sean and I did this as a squad. Early December, we had they're in, fighting for the playoffs, little to no shot. Here we are, end of Feb. Going to let our producers talk out where we had the West and then revisit it.
All right, so they're in teams. You guys had the 6 were the Thunder, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Mavericks, Suns, Clippers. You had fighting for the playoffs, the Rockets, Lakers, T-Wolves, and Warriors. And then you said little to no shot, the Spurs, Kings, Blazers, Pelicans, and Jazz. So we see a little Suns logo in the little to no shot now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, food for thought. This was all before the biggest NBA trade deadline week in many years.
In the history of the league. So
now, obviously, this was pre-Luka on the Lakers. AD was on, obviously, L.A. Tons of trades here. A lot in the West. De'Aaron Fox staying on our board from little to no shot to another team, a little to no shot. But, yeah, any high-level thoughts on how we did in December?
The biggest teams that we thought would be fighting to get in were the Warriors and the Lakers. They make 2 huge deals.
Huge.
And now they seem like a shoe-in to be in the top 6 for sure.
Yeah.
So that's the start.
And we also didn't think, to defend the Suns, that they would
If I recall correctly, I think you were battling for the Suns a little more than me, but
Clippers. The Suns, I can't even comprehend it. I can't even comprehend it. It might be the worst run organization right now in the NBA. Bradley Beal may have the worst contract in all of sports.
Yeah.
You bring in Budenholzer, you let go of Nurkic.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking about?
But to announce Kevin Durant on the trade rumorville, knowing how sensitive he is with a burner, what are you doing?
You know what I was thinking about for the Beal no trade? You know he has a no trade clause?
Yeah.
You just trade everybody else, and then he'll want to go because, well, he's not going to be there by himself.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you want to get a guy to waive the no trade. If you just move everybody else, it's essentially the Wizards in the same situation he was just dealing with years prior.
And to be fair to the Suns, they didn't give him the deal. The Wizards gave him the worst contract in sports.
Yeah. Just one of those scenarios again,
too. But you
too.
still went and got him. His money doesn't change. You knew the dollars that were on the books when you went and got him. Hey, man, these new owners come in. Matt Ishaba came in, and he wanted to shake things up. He shook it up, and it foamed up on him, and it's exploding. It's dead.
So obviously, as we talk, OKC's 47-11.
What's your hesitation?
With?
Yeah, the Thunder.
A ton of hesitation. They're SGA top heavy. They're just SGA top heavy. At the end of the day, these guys like Cason Wallace and Dort and Isaiah Joe and Williams.
You just named 3 buckets and one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA.
The foul merchant ain't going to be getting those calls.
It's funny you didn't mention the 2 bigs.
Ihart, who got 4 rebounds the other night.
Yeah.
I can't see it. I think they need a Kevin Durant. I'll go on record saying it. And when he does go to the Thunder in the offseason and they find a way to keep Chet, it's going to be one of the most
what's the offer
stories.
you're putting out there?
Picks.
For what? Oh, it could be. Yeah, they got a lot of options.
Dude, Thunder has still stockpiled a ton of picks. So they're just waiting for the right situation to come along.
They also and it's fair because you can look at it. They haven't played box office basketball against some of these clubs. I mean, that are in the top of the West. They don't dominate Dallas. They didn't last year. They got bounced by them, and then they lost 3 or 4 this year to them. They haven't owned the Lakers since LeBron's been there by any means. It's been Denver. And I just don't think they have the depth. You haven't been there. So different. It's so
depth.
Yeah, think they have the depth.
They have 9 players that
playoff depth. Are 9 guys
like
getting run? It's just such a different game in the playoffs. It's fascinating that you're so confident in them because
people talk about the Mavericks series last year like the Mavericks dusted the Thunder off.
It was like 4-2.
Every game was close coming down the stretch, and then Luka was going ballistic. That's basically what happened.
This is what it is, though.
And Derrick Jones Jr. and P.J. Washington shot the lights out like they've never shot in their entire life.
I'm not saying the Thunder aren't going to win a ring with this nucleus. It's just not this year. Where you were at with Boston last year, they had been to the finals. They had growing pains, and they have more than one star. Chet's built like a number 2 pencil. He's already been banged up twice. I mean, that's cause for concern. Anyway.
What about Jalen Williams, other all-star? You can argue he shouldn't have been an all-star, but all right, I digress.
I was going to say on the Thunder, on the draft picks thing, they have 7 draft picks, 7 first-round picks in the next 3 years.
Presty.
So that's at least one Mikal Bridges and then a couple other picks.
So a team that stayed at the top here is the Memphis Grizzlies, who's obviously take on the Knicks this weekend, 38-20. They're gridlocked as we speak end of February with the Denver Nuggets at 38-20. Are we feeling pretty good about Denver and Memphis staying in the top 6?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the top 10 teams in the West are all solidified. You can go OKC, Memphis, Denver, Houston, the Lakers, the Clippers, Minnesota, Golden State, Dallas, and Sacramento, and then we can kind of figure out who lands in the play-in or not. But I think it is those 10 teams that are going to be participating in the playoff and then in the play-in.
Yeah, the seeding is so close. Pete mentioned it just before we went on. The Clippers at 32-26 are the 6th seed, and Sacramento's 30-28 at the last spot of the play-in. Phoenix 27-31 is kind of the only team with, again, a little bit of star power that can make some noise.
Who are you comfortable giving an automatic bid? Well, obviously OKC.
I think OKC.
I'm comfortable with giving the Lakers a top 6 auto, so we can move them.
Yeah, I'm obviously confident. I was gonna let you tell me I don't want to homer take the Lakers, but yeah, no. I feel very good about it.
Well, listen, last 16 games have been the best defense in the NBA.
Yeah.
No AD has seemed to spruce up the perimeter guys. Jackson Hayes has actually been pretty impactful. If you've been watching the Lakers, he's been running the floor, he's been blocking shots, he's been rebounding, he's been catching lobs. He's been playing really well.
He's a great 5 for Luka.
It's so odd that they lose Max Christie and Anthony Davis. On paper, they're 2 best defenders, and then the defense goes up to another level. I don't really understand, but we'll see if they can sustain this. But I think they're in to the West. I would put Denver on the back of Jokic. Memphis has been pretty consistent all year long, and Ja hasn't even been playing his best. I would put them in. You want to argue the clip?
I actually want to argue out of the clip.
Okay.
I think the Warriors are going to continue to play winning basketball.
So who do you move up?
The Warriors.
The Warriors.
You got to agree with me.
Yeah, I'm with that.
The Clippers.
I'm not mad at that.
The Clippers are just playing.
Jimmy Butler seems to be the answer.
A happy Curry and a happy Butler is proven to be very, very prominent. They're also 9th in defensive rating as we speak, with a top 10 easiest strength of schedule remaining. So they have a nice situation here to wrap up the season. Where are you at with Minnesota, who just came back in epic proportion this past week against the Thunder with no Julius?
Yeah, just a wishy-washy hoop team. They're a play-in team in the West for me.
So none of you can see an Anthony Edwards coming out party and winning 2 series again? Man, what would it take?
Give me 2 teams up here that you think they can beat.
I think they can beat. I think they can beat Memphis. I think they can beat Houston. Houston again is a team that is there's a couple try-hard teams in the NBA, and they're one of those teams that they got some veterans, but they got a lot of pups.
And they're very good in their building, though.
Well, yeah, and
they play defense. They play on-ball D across the board. They have the edge with Dylan Brooks and Thompson. Amen.
17-12 on the road. Is that impressive for that Houston team? That's what they are right now.
What are they at home?
20-9.
If they end up being like the 3 or 4, and a team like Minnesota has to go there 4 times potentially, I like them. I like Ime Udoka to be able to devise a plan to slow up Ant, and then there's nobody else I trust on that team to put together.
Nas, New Jersey Reed.
Hey man, since Julius Randle's been going, it's 19-9 every night for Nas.
Random trivia question here. There's one team in our top 6 that is under 500 on the road. Who do you think it is of these 6? Thunder, Lakers, Nuggets.
The Warriors. Oh, is it the Nuggets?
Well, actually, I'm sorry. I just cooked this because we took the Clippers out. It's the Clippers.
The Clippers, okay.
But the Clippers are under 500, and I'm looking at them a little. I know I was very positive on them because they were doing that without Kawhi. Now, Kawhi is just not moving the needle for me. If anything, it's their team's playing solid basketball, and Harden is playing.
Harden's been awesome all year.
He's been awesome. It's because he's a guy that
him and Norm.
He's been living in Philly. a non-Manhattan borough. Now he's in Southern California with
That's
the
what
wall.
Some people are saying about PG, Paul George. Get him back out west, man. He don't want to deal with this East Coast grind.
So just talking out 7 through 10. So we're pretty comfortable with Minnesota, LA, and Dallas.
I honestly like the board exactly how it is right now.
So, but you have the Kings over the Suns.
Yes.
What is your two? Just wrapping it up with the Kings, Levine, Sabonis.
Yeah, I think.
What do you make of this team?
We're splitting hairs, but right now they're 3 games ahead in the loss column with what 24, 25 games to go, depending on what squad you're looking at. I would put my money that Sacramento is able to stay above water and pick up that 10th slot to stay in the play-in. The Phoenix Suns have showed me no reason to believe they're gonna scrap and claw to get to the 10th in the play-in.
11-20 on the road.
Because that's what you would have to do, right? Like if you're looking at the rest of the season for the Suns and you're Kevin Durant and Booker, it's like, hey, let's lock in and scrap and claw to get the 10 in the play-in, potentially the 9.
Is that Philly's mindset over there? Same thing?
I don't want to talk about Philly. If I'm being honest, I said it last night. 9 straight losses. They've lost 11 of 12, with no hope in sight. So no, I don't really care about Philly, but I see that being a very hard sell. And they haven't fought all year. I don't imagine they would fight and start clawing to get to the 10 or the 9. So I like my money with the 3 games up in the loss column in the Kings.
And De'Aaron Fox continues to play playoff-less basketball.
Tough, man. You go over to play with Wemby, and then he gets ruled out for the rest of the year. It's like, biggest thing is this year was almost a wash. It was almost, let's just get 25, 30 games of Wemby and Fox together, and then let's get to next year and just kind of add on to that chemistry.
Are the Kings
for them to play a couple of games and then he gets hurt is pretty brutal.
Are the Kings playing better basketball without Fox?
Seems so. They got a couple more options. DeMar DeRozan and Fox never fit. That's why I never understood the ad when he went over there. It didn't really make sense for 2 ball-dominant guys. And I watched very up close DeMar DeRozan in the 4th. It seems to be more times than not the best option for you to run through DeMar DeRozan in the 4th quarter. And then that's what Fox does. And then that's why him and Levine in Chicago didn't really get along. But maybe Sabonis, being the reluctant shooter and offensive first guy that he is, gets those guys involved. But I just want to take the team that's 3 up and is familiar with kind of grinding and trying to stay in the mix, rather than the team in the Suns with 3 superstars that have seemed disjointed since they got there.
I'll sit here and agree with you. I just cannot believe we're sitting here with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal on a team not a top 10 in their conference.
Yeah, championship coach and Budenholzer. They go get a point guard. I thought that would help. It's just been a disaster.
That's our updated board. NBA sorted out, Western Conference.
Thunder win the West. Appreciate you guys watching the Juice Bar weekly. In the description below, go lock in, subscribe. Anywhere you find your audio podcast, the Juice Bar will be on there. iTunes, Spotify, across the board. Lock in. Tell a homie to tell a friend. The Juice Bar's live everywhere.